Transitions, the invisible but ever-present connective tissue of your show. It will blow your mind how much the transition music will affect the experience of your audience. Hi, I'm Joel Pashkovsky, and today we're going to be talking about transitions. So what is transition music? Transition music is the music you hear that happens between two scenes of a show, often done while a set change is happening and everything is visibly black. The crazy thing about transition music is that because it's happening right after a scene is ending, your brain instinctively goes into this not listening mode because you just spent all this focus taking in the scene that just happened, and it ending gives you the permission to reset your brain, take a breath, and prepare yourself for the next scene. So whatever happens in that moment in the transition, you don't consciously take in and probably won't remember. However, you are totally subconsciously digesting the transition music, and it is informing your experience without you even knowing it. The transition music carries the bulk of the weight of coloring the world of your show, much like how the background and color scheme of a painting affects how you'd feel about a painting. So what does transition music do? The transition music can serve multiple functions in your show, like a lot. Most commonly, it will reiterate what just happened, probably briefly replaying the melody or part of the song that happened in the scene. It also commonly is used to tell the audience what scene is about to happen by playing a part of a tune that you've already associated with a particular place or character. Those two things are the most common functions of transition music, telling you what just happened and what's about to happen. It makes the most logical sense and provides the audience with the sensation that their hand is being held through the journey. I like to think of transition music as the thoughts you have while walking away from a situation that just happened. It sort of keeps ringing in your head, whether it was a tense, romantic, or triumphant moment. It repeats and echoes in your head as you walk away and leaves you with the question, what am I going to do with this next? That's exactly the same way transition music can function and feels for me. That's not all transition music can do. For example, in the show, The Band's Visit, for those of you who don't know, The Band's Visit is about an Egyptian police band that gets stranded in a tiny Israeli town and are forced to wait in a cafe and all end up getting into different, funny, moving situations. The transition music doesn't provide the kind of information mentioned before, but more acts as a vehicle to keep the momentum of the show going between each scene. Check it out. What makes this work particularly well is that the transitions are also giving you a realistic insight into the music that the band actually would perform together, showing you the thing that literally keeps them together and is performed by the cast. When I saw this show, for me, it really kept the party going, so to speak, and further reminded the audience that, like the music, this show is light, fun, and rich. Transition music can work this way as well. With all this in mind, let's think about what other possibilities can be explored with transition music. So we know that it inherently colors the world and can remind us what just happened and what's about to happen, and alternatively, just keep the momentum going. What else can it possibly do? Here's an interesting thought. All of those functions that I just mentioned tell us what the characters in those scenes just experienced or tell us where they're about to be. So it's stuff that the characters already know and you're up to date with them. But what if the transition music could tell you what the characters in that scene might not have realized? What if you could know more than the characters? Say a scene happens where a character makes some kind of discovery or makes a new bond with someone. It could be anything that involves a change that will affect things down the line. The transition music following that scene could give an insight as to the ramifications of those events that the characters simply can't foresee, but the music is telling the audience this could be disastrous. How would that make the audience feel, knowing they know a little more than the characters? Here's another example. Imagine there are a series of scenes where a particular event is being developed. Example, someone is moving up in the ranks in their new workplace, or a group is training for a battle or a match of some kind, or someone is trying to learn something or teach something. The transition music between these scenes could track the progress of whatever is in progress, whether things are improving or declining. So, homework time. What I'd like you to do is think of a few of your own situations or scenes. For each of these situations or scenes, describe it and describe the music or genre that would make up the world of this musical. They can all exist within the same world if you like, but I encourage you to really use your imagination and try and create as much variety as possible here. Here are the parameters for the scenes or situations that will involve transition music. 1. Think of a scene or situation that involves a change that will affect things down the line. Be creative. And describe it with the following: who, what, when, where. And describe the transition music that would occur after that scene. This music must briefly encapsulate what just happened in the scene. Explain how you do this in as great detail as possible. So that's 1. Here's 2. Think of a scene or situation that ends with transition music that will tell the audience something a character in that scene doesn't know yet or is oblivious to. So, first part of that, describe the scene and the music in that world. How do you imagine this information will affect the audience? Will they want to warn the character of what's to come? Will they think they're stupid but want to see how it plays out? Will they want them to keep holding on because things will get better? Answer those questions. And here's the second part of part 2. Using those same circumstances you just created, think up and describe the scene when whatever it was comes to fruition, but things do not turn out like how the transition music was suggesting. Answer these questions. How will the characters react? How will this affect the audience, and what would they want to see happen next? What could the transition music after this scene be? Thanks for listening. I'm Joel Bishkovsky.